Agua.
Water. Gonna drown.
Yeah. Thanks, Vice.
See, if you had an actual boat that could float.
But you don't.
It can only fly. This is why your world sucks.
Hey, I can swim, so it's fine.
I can swim.
Anyway, welcome everyone to the Midnight Frogs podcast. Today we're discussing Sergeant Frog Abridged, episode 24. Today, for the first time in ages, Yoshi is not joining us today. Props to him. He's been trying to get a job for ages, and he is a working man once again. So,
yay!
But I am joined by Travis.
It's me.
And Jacob.
It's him.
I'm both.
Yep. Congratulations. Take my spot. Sell credit cards.
Ooh, wacky. I don't want it.
I don't wacky wanna.
So to start, a couple of quick Midnight Frogs updates. Jacob and I are almost halfway through the script for SFA 25. We're using 2 episodes of Sergeant Frog for this one, and we're about halfway through that first video.
Yeah, at least for me, it's been a bit more of a difficult episode to write, but it's going. It's going to be a long one, too.
Yeah. And also, it's going to be the last of the episodic series, so I'm trying to be a little more careful with it. Like, not be outright slapdash or put in any throwaway lines.
Yeah.
Necessarily. Like, they can be funny and stupid, but not just dumb, and you could have put a bit more thought into that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my job is done.
You somehow do it right, but then you haven't been writing with us. So
I've been busy. It's the last few weeks of college for me, so I'm hunkering down. I can't help it.
Are you almost graduating?
I'm graduating next semester, but I'm finishing up like my major courses this semester, and then all I'm taking is internship this next semester.
Oh.
And then I'm done. Woo.
Done.
Next, Travis, whenever we can, we need to finish Look at Your Boobs.
You've been having that one hover in air for quite a while. I don't even remember all the things I wrote about it. It was basically like the Kookadoo song where I just sat there with like a notepad and just made up shit as I went.
Which we will be discussing further down the line.
Yes.
Of course. The Look at Your Boobs song, I don't even know how we got it, but once again, it just ended up being a Disney song that just fit the stupidness of what was going on.
It has been in so many episodes since it's been conceived. And I'm like, oh, where did this joke come from? Oh, look at your boobs. Oh. Yeah, I think it's about time it has been shown the light.
It's about time it got its last bit of legs.
I think what sold Thorne on the idea is just the line, I have gizmos and gadgets, a penis. And that line just like, okay. And that was the one you made up.
Yeah. Well, I just keep bringing it up because we put it in episodes, but we haven't actually made the song itself. And while we were writing this one, Travis wrote an entire song parody, which did get finished and uploaded, so we got some catching up to do.
To be fair, that song took me 90 seconds to write.
I can tell, but I love it.
It's still lyrical. The funny thing is, when you put up the video, you quoted you had written and sang, and you put that in quotes. But I'm like, I actually sang. The writing part's the part I half-assed. Quote that.
Well, I mean sang because he did the Randy Newman impression. And that's singing in finger quotes, too.
And his singing is rather debatable.
Yeah.
That Randy Newman impression's been one I've been keeping in my backlogs for a while, so figured I'd use it.
And also, since SFA 24 is out, I can start working on the next Ask Giro podcast. I think there's 13 questions I have lined up for that one, so if anyone wants to ask just 2 more of whatever, that'll be a good sized episode. I like to have it either 10, 15, something like that. So that'll be in the next week or so.
Are you planning on kind of ending that kind of somewhat canonically with the series, or are you going to continue it until at least the movies are done?
I'm just going to see how I feel, because that one's easier to make, but that depends entirely on people actually sending in questions.
Right.
So if people keep sending in questions, I'll consider keep doing it.
I really need to get to those birdie questions.
Yes, you do.
At some point.
Okay, so I was recording with Code for this episode, and for like an hour afterwards, all we did was troll Travis with a bunch of stupid questions for Birdie.
It got to the point where, well, because I get pretty much an email for every message sent.
That's what I was hoping.
And the way they're doing it is both Code and Thorne were alternating. She would send one, then he would send one, and then back and forth. So they got to the point where both of them could not send me any more questions.
Yeah.
Tumblr blocked them from doing it. I don't know what I was doing at the time. I think I was recording, and I'm looking at my phone going bzz, 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 and I'm just like, keep going. Just bring it.
Just rest your head on your hands like, no, go on. I'll wait till you're done.
You know what? The weird part of it is, as much as they're trying to troll, like the fact that I didn't have really any good questions to answer, I'm like, oh, good material. Even though half of them are just like, fuck, this is gonna be interesting.
I don't troll to make people feel bad.
That's good.
I troll to make them confused.
Well, I did it. My email count went from about 5,000 to 6,000. Thank you.
Jacob, I like how you linked Ask Giro Doro while we're discussing Ask Birdie.
Well, I was a little late. I was like a couple seconds after we were done talking about Ask Giro Doro. I was like, oh yeah, I should probably link that for anybody who doesn't have the link. And so then I had to go find it, and then I linked it, and I was like, hey, Ask Bird Doro gear.
You know what's kind of interesting about my Tumblr setup is that Tumblr has this really dumb thing to where whatever your first blog becomes your primary blog, and there's no way to switch once you make a secondary one. Unfortunately, the first blog I made was the Birdie blog because I was like, who gives a shit? I'm going to fuck around. And then I made my own personal one so I could just put whatever goofy shit I find. But the problem is that if I ever follow anybody, they get followed by Birdie. So I'm always kind of worried because I overthink, of course. So when I'm following someone I find kind of respect and artistry or interesting like that, they're probably like, oh cool, someone's following. What's this about? What the fuck?
I'm the same way. My quote unquote main blog is Homo Talkino, and I've since made my Jiggly Jacob Tumblr blog my main blog because that's where I feel like sharing my love of like 3 different things at a time there. But then I have to, instead of just pressing Alt Reblog, I have to click Reblog or go to Jiggly Jacob and then Reblog. It's like 3 extra clicks. I don't have time for that.
Internet's so hard, man.
I know. Everything's so
Okay.
Chunk Boy is just asking, speaking of Code, is she going to do any more or less in SFA? I've seen she's done some stuff in an Attack on Titan abridgment. Nothing outside of voicing Moi, at least not right now, and voicing Shout whenever we get to Jetters again. We did used to write with her, but her writing style never really gelled with us. She's more write out a script, sit, let it marinate, and then write another draft of it. We're hit the wall running and see if we're still standing after.
We're very much a throw all the shit at the wall, and if some shit sticks, well, we're great. We just keep going until things start working.
Yeah, we keep going until we've gotten through the wall.
Yep.
Moving on to the Straw Hat No. Travis might have mentioned recently, but he had to sell his 3DS. So for this month, for the Patreon money we got for the Straw Hat No, I have bought Travis a new 3DS XL. I say new, it's a very good used condition, but that means once he gets it, which should be around Sunday, he, Yoshi, and myself will finally be able to do Triforce Heroes. And my plan for that is, since I also have a Link Between Worlds ready, and I'm going to save that for January, so we can start the next year off with that. I was thinking having both LPs running at the same time in the same thread, kind of like we were doing with a couple of previous LPs.
After seeing that picture that you put up of me with Randall again, because that one just is timeless.
Yeah.
I was almost afraid that when you bought the 3DS, you would have it to where someone would customly put on a plate that is just Randall's face.
That would probably cost more than what we get from Patreon.
True. But I can just imagine people are just like, what is that? I was like, don't ask, please. Just...
How much would it cost to engrave a Santa Claus named Randall into this 3DS?
For you, that is free. I just want to try it.
Speaking of A Link Between Worlds, all of the footage that I had lying around waiting for Yoshi and Travis to get some free time so we can record them is all edited.
Ooh.
All of the A Link Between Worlds Let's Play, all the Bombermen, all of the Harvest Moons, that's all edited, ready to be commentated, and it's just sitting there waiting. So whenever we get that chance, hopefully there's a lot more coming from us. Thankfully, the other day we were able to record some new Skies of Arcadia, and the next part of that is up now.
Per usual, both Yoshi and Thorn end up laughing their ass off at something stupid. And I still have, I think, we have another part to record. And then once the holiday starts, I should be able to capture more of it. It's just, school and shit, worrying about all that sort of stuff before I've been able to capture a lot of those videos. Plus, I always feel like with longer Let's Plays, it's kind of acceptable to be like, okay, here's 30 parts. I'm going to take a break for a minute.
Yeah. And also, speaking of Harvest Moon, Tale of Two Towns is going to be kind of sitting on hiatus because For some reason, people are more interested in talking about Hero of Leaf Valley than they are Tale of Two Towns, which I understand because not as much visually goes on in Two Towns. So that one's more on hiatus. Hero of Leaf Valley, that one just hasn't been commentated. So whenever that happens, I'll continue, but I'm probably going to be sitting on Tale of Two Towns for a little while. But like I said, it's fully edited, just waiting to be commentated, both of them. But that's it. We can move on to Sergeant Frog Abridged, episode 24. So one pretty cool thing about this is the first time that we actually co-wrote with Lily since way back in episode 6.
Yeah, and she had some pretty good input too, not intake. She ate really well while we wrote. Got plenty of greens, like a milkshake.
Her roommate did come in, and the two did have an argument about pizza logs.
Oh yeah, we just said.
Why didn't you add that to the script?
Well, if there was a pizza log going up someone's crotch, then we would, but no.
Hey, we've made worse things happen in this show.
Including
what we're talking about now.
Yeah, but also like episode 6, she was only there briefly, but she did contribute some stuff, including the Giro doll and the whole concept of that, which we'll go into in a minute. Half of the comments on YouTube were about, is that Undertale music? Yes, it is. So even someone asked, Thorn, are you Undertale trash now? And yeah, I am. And I really hope that becomes the official fan name for Undertale, because I love that.
It probably is. I mean, that's what any fandom refers to themselves as. I refer to that for everything I like.
Hopefully, Thorn, you don't take offense to this, but if you're Undertale trash, that makes Olivia an Undertale dumpster. Like,
oh, God. I know what you mean, but holy shit.
It's not meant offensively. She knows what I'm talking about. She's drawn all this art about it and constantly talking about it. I've literally texted her and be like, Olivia, do you have a problem? And she's like, yes, Undertale.
I'm sure she'd agree.
And after much hesitation, I started playing it too. I started with a pacifist run because I didn't go in completely unspoiled. Like, it's as good as if everybody says it is. I'm just having a great time. It was just the overexposure that kind of watered down my interest. That and my general lack of interest in RPGs. But I'm really happy I played it because I'm having a ton of fun.
I find the best things in life, especially when it comes to things like that, are the less you know about it, the better. And despite the fact that people talk about it, sometimes there's just those things I want to like, and I'll purposely just be like, nope, ignore it, nope. But yeah, Undertale was one of those hard to avoid ones for sure.
Yeah, because I'm on Tumblr all day anyway.
And mainly I played Undertale not knowing shit about it. Like, I just remember reading this, like, I think it was a Tumblr post before it got really hit, and it was just like, oh my god, Undertale's is this game that everyone should play, and everyone's freaking out about it. I'm just like, $10, fuck it.
Yeah, I managed to avoid most of the hype for that.
I didn't. I saw it everywhere on my dash. I was like, oh my god, I know. I'm sure it's good, but shut up. Then I joined.
Oh yeah, you say that, Mr. Steven Universe.
Well, Steven Universe is great, all right?
I like that where you're like, well, shit.
Undertale, Sherlock, Steven Universe. Those are 3 things that I almost avoided because of the fans. But then it actually won me over when I started watching.
I always was interested in Steven Universe because I just love the art style. The characters look cool. Undertale was like, I was interested in the characters too, but it's there, and it's an RPG, which I typically don't like except for Pokemon. And then I finally tried it because I was over at CJ's, and CJ had it on their computer. I was like, hey, I want to give this a try. And then I liked it.
And then you realize it's less about the game and more about the experience. And then you're like, okay.
Yeah. And the game itself is less of an RPG and more of a bullet hell, and which I always thought looked really cool. And it is.
Emphasis on hell.
Yeah.
Further down the end.
Jeez. It's tough. Fuck that spider.
Moving back to SFA 24. This one has a bit more of a fluid structure because it's actually based before and after the events of episode 23. So that's why at the start it says 3 days earlier. Because we're always making jokes about the number 4, but I wanted to be subtle with this one. So Natsumi finds the doll 3 days before, and later on the 4th day, everyone starts turning into dolls. So that's another joke about the number 4, because we can't leave it alone.
The 4 and 9 jokes does feel a little bit like 4 and 9, you get it?
Remember I suggested that when you do the movie, we'd call it episode 49. That'd be too obvious.
That would just be kicking it in the head.
Yeah.
One of the big things about this episode, since it goes back to Natsumi's childhood for a little bit, A lot of the names and weird things that you heard us say are things from my and Jacob's childhood. So, Jacob, where does Kookadoo come from?
Kookadoo comes from a cat I had when I was really young. I think I was like 2 or 3. The cat's name was Scooter, but I could never say Scooter. So I just kept saying Kookadoo. And then eventually my parents were like, fuck it, the cat's name is Kookadoo. A side note, that cat was an asshole.
Did he get hit by a scooter?
I wish.
Then he yelled, look out for that Kookadoo.
Look after that Kookadoo.
The only reason that ever happened was because I turned on the audio to figure out what Natsumi called the doll. She called it Kuchan.
Right. I was wondering how I thought of that. Yeah, I completely forgot about that part.
Well, see, like, because in this one, I kind of came into the writing process midway. Like, as soon as he started talking about, like, as soon as we read through the script and there was all this, like, Kookadoo, bop, bop, bo, I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Choobies is something my sister just used to say. And just earlier this year when we were over at my uncle's house to celebrate some birthdays, she just started laughing her ass off talking about Choobies, and I had no idea what she was talking about. She's a grown-ass woman. She's 4 years older than me, and I still didn't understand. I need to ask her. I still don't know what that means.
Maybe she has more fun not telling you.
Maybe.
You know what it is. You know what it is. No, I don't.
Didn't it say in the wiki that that's what she called kids at the time or something? Or children?
No, that's what she said as a kid.
Yeah, oh, okay. I thought
Aren't
that's...
Choobies a kind of candy? Sounds like some kind of candy you'd buy in, like, England or something. We'll get a box of Choobies.
It does. Well, I wonder if it is. Let me... Choobies. It seems to be a cartoon. Yeah, it is. It's a cartoon starring weird elephant balls.
Okay.
It's Chinese or something. Here, these are...
I like how you went Chinese.
Those are Choobies, apparently.
Next, Bop Bop Boom, Beep Beep Boom. That's me. I don't remember which, but that and Mop Mop Man were what I used to call the garbage truck and the ice cream man. Years on, after I've come up with that and I've forgotten why I said it, I don't know which it refers to or how I came up with that.
You're really into drugs back then.
When you were 3.
Yep.
That's why I'm weird.
See, I can't even remember, like, a lot of those kind of phrases, at least from my childhood, so I couldn't really contribute much to it. I think the most unique one is I used to call elephants olifants, but that's about it.
I think I've told this story to you guys before, at least Thorn, but when I was a kid, I didn't say finger. I said thinger. And my mom did not notice that until I was 6 years old and I had to write something. Then I spelled out thinger, and my mom was like, what the fuck is a finger? I was like, these. Oh, fingers. I never... Well, I have felt pretty stupid, but I felt pretty stupid then, too.
5 minutes later, you're in your room being punished.
For calling them fingers.
How dare you?
Nowadays, I just refer to things as thingers, so I guess it comes full circle.
Yeah. Nowadays, you don't even use English.
See.
Okay. Zeter Steel in the chat says Choobies is also apparently a Star Wars term. Both that and the Chinese cartoon do not explain that.
No, you get it, Thorn. You get it now, I'm sure.
I watched the Chinese cartoon crossover with Star Wars.
Now, this feels like one of those situations where Trump is trying to explain to you, but they're just not giving you the key words for it to link in your brain. So they're just pointing to a picture of these round elephants in Star Wars going, see? And you're like, no, I'm not. Talk. Yeah?
Talk.
I've had math teachers like that. And I also was a math tutor to someone like that.
So you just point to a bunch of letters and numbers all together. F.
More than just calmly sighed. Next, the stranger who isn't Aki. In the original, I'm sure it is Aki, but we just decided it wasn't.
Doesn't look like Aki.
That was part of it, because the person looks really thin. You'd expect Aki would be a little curvier than that.
Yeah.
Well, it does seem like Aki's a little top heavy.
A little.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, when I looked at it, I thought it looked like a man. Like, it looked like a man was helping Natsumi walk away. A little strange.
When I got a closer look at it, I saw the curves. But at first, I was like, is that supposed to be Aki? She looks like a toothpaste tube or something.
Come on, let's go brush your teeth.
Here, let's go brush your teeth.
Here's mouthwash.
Let's go brush your teeth against this rough surface.
Oh, jeez. Ah.
Not my toothbrush. I know.
I think I was going to say something and I completely forgot what it was.
I'm sure it was important.
Yeah. Choobies.
Choobies. You see, Choobies.
Dude, Cool Frames Digiworks.
Is that another thing you said as a kid?
No, but Jesus.
Like you really confused your parents with something like that. They're like saying, Choobies! Digital Wars.
That's just what it says in the watermark. Let's move on.
Oh, they said in the watermelon.
The watermelon's talking to me, guys. I think we need to move on.
I'm on drugs too.
LSD.
Next, we're out of Bleach. It's because in episode 22, at the start of it, when Dokuku appears, Lily made this really loud scream, which is like, that's very convincing. That's also very sharp. And a lot of comments, including one person who I actually asked to review the episode, just to give his thoughts on my editing, because it's been a while. He was like, what the fuck was that?
Whoa.
So for this one, when Natsumi screams again, I was tying it back to that, because I don't actually know if this is the case, but it was a Retsupre, where Diabetes said after this kid said something really loudly, Diabetes said, well, excuse me, I need to go pour bleach into my ears. That's what Fuyuki's referring to, pouring bleach down your ears.
Well then, I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, I say it here specifically for you, because even listening through the script writing session again, I could tell you didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, but it was still funny to me, so, I mean, it all worked out in the end.
I thought maybe she spilled hot coffee on herself. We can't clean that off your shirt, so stop it.
Next, the bootleg Giro doll. Like I mentioned, this was Lily's idea, because it actually ties back to episode 6 with the Sumomo doll, and Lily's little headcanon of that is that the doll is a bootleg, which is why it has that weird voice and it says stupid shit. So that's what's going on with Giro. That's why his lines are sort of things he said, but not quite accurate, like, what the darn's a Tootsie Roll and social awareness?
And then somehow singing that song you really want to finish.
Yeah.
And I do also like the line, what the darn's a Tootsie Roll?
Yeah.
Sounds like he's reading it off a script.
I cracked up when Lily said that. I was trying to think of a good way to rephrase what the fuck's a Tootsie Pop. And then Lily came in and blew it out of the water.
That's not quite the case with some of the other dolls, except for maybe Moi. But Moi doesn't really say anything coherent.
My God.
Thanks to me.
Exactly. And we'll get to that down the line. The Stylophone Cat and Wiggle.
Oh, yes.
There is kind of a story behind the Wiggle, but the Stylophone Cat is because we didn't quite know what to do with the cat. It's just sitting there, and it opens its mouth. And the original Japanese, it's really funny, because when the Giro doll gets flung out the window and lands there, the cat just looks at it and goes, and it's the weirdest sound.
Yeah. It's not quite a meow, but it sounds so weirdly human.
Yeah. But like episode 17, I think, the cat had actually talked, but I didn't feel like doing that again. So I thought back to like episode 16, where Keelily was the samples of a Mellotron, and I looked at my stylophone and I thought, well, let's do that again. I'd done the stylophone thing with Jerry's puppet in Tamers Abridged.
I still like that joke.
Yeah.
It has been so long since I've seen that. All I remember is Hippity.
I rewatched it recently. And I was like, oh, I still like this.
So did I. It's still ridiculous. Gloriously stupid is how I put it. Firebrine in the chat brings up a good point. Didn't Dokuku eat the cat? Yes, he did, but one of the running gags going on with Ask Giro Doro is that cats just seem to appear out of nowhere, probably because Giro is allergic to them.
They have more than one life. It's just this litter of them that are exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's just every time it's a different cat. That's why it sounds different. That one cat just had the ability to talk in a gruff voice. This one just makes music.
Yeah. But the Wiggle song.
For those who don't know, which may be a few of you, the song that plays in the post credits is a song called Wiggle by Jason Derulo. No need to listen to it. It's probably one of the worst songs of all time. Our version's better.
I think the reason you played it, I think it's one of the few songs that you said you could play on that thing. So,
well, yes, but actually the reason that ever happened is because during some of Jacob's gaming streams, I would just take out the stylophone and play the Wiggle tune whenever he did something stupid.
Or whenever we triumphasized, did good at stuff. Unlike then. I remember one time we were doing the Nuzlocke, and I was trying to catch an Armaldo. And every time the Pokeball would wiggle, I would keep going wiggle. And I kept saying, prepare the stylophone. When we catch this thing, you are playing us off. And then with the last Great Ball, we caught it. You played the song, and we named it Derulo.
Oh, yeah.
And never used it.
I didn't remember what you were talking about until you said you named it Derulo.
Right.
Travis, you take this. Friendship.
It's like any other song I've come up with in the past. I think we were just writing the montage part where it was a good day between Aki and her toy. So it immediately made me think of Toy Story. And
Even out to me.
Not to me, I'm sorry. I just immediately started thinking about Toy Story and that goofy ass song by Randy Newman. He was describing some of the jokes and things that were happening. I was just going, you got a coo-coo-doo. And that's as far as I made up the lyrics. So the rest of it just started coming out. I was like, boo-doo-doo-doo. And I just kept on doing that, just making it goofy, wacky. And then I'm like, oh my God, this has to be a song now. Like, I think it just goes in line with me just wanting a musical episode. And I guess this is about as close as I'm going to get. So while he was kind of working out, he was writing the kind of serious conversation they were having at the shoreline, because like it only took one person really to do that. I took about 90 seconds to write the whole song. And he could hear me just cracking myself up just because it didn't make any sense. It was rhythmical, but it didn't make any sense. And plus I did kind of just reference some from the actual stupid song that it is. And by the end of it, friendship was born.
I think it became official when you said, doesn't matter what the doctor says, you shouldn't hit your dick with a brick.
I remember when Thorne sent me that clip. I think that beforehand he had sent me the MP3 of that song, but for some reason I never downloaded it and listened to it. So it was a complete surprise to me when I actually watched that part of the episode. I was like, what the
I'm just glad we were able to put up a new song parody.
Yeah.
Stupid as it was.
Even though lyrically, like, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, the Blue Ninja Frog thing was just related because I made that joke. Ooh, girl.
Yeah.
My favorite line was probably, baby's laughing, making fun of your ass. And then the next part that I don't remember.
Then when a Blue Ninja Frog doesn't like your sass.
Mm-mm.
And then classic for me, just because I don't know why this joke always gets referenced on my behalf. Third world problems with a mouthful of glass.
Mouthful of glass pops up infrequently.
Because the thing about mouthful of glass is, like, how do you explain that? Like, it's one of those things that if you tried to explain to someone with just by telling them that, they would have to figure out how it happened.
Yeah.
So, like, I always made that kind of joke where, like, you don't explain what happens in the middle, but you're just like, man, we were hanging out, one thing led to another, then bam, mouthful of glass. You're like, how? And then you don't explain. But it's just it's a running shtick that I have that should just stop with the song.
We'll see. Birdie hasn't said it yet.
That's true. Well, maybe. It's hard to. I've said so many things without thinking as that character. I think with my mouth when I play Birdie.
That's right. Next, What a Wonderful Day of Fjord. This is kind of a multi-layered joke, but it ties back to episode 23. It was the scene with Natsumi and Koyuki, with Fuyuki just sitting in the back, where Natsumi didn't know what fun was. And I like to think it's thanks to the frogs ruining her life that she doesn't know.
And I think it's in her character, too. She's such a straight man in all the situations that, like, especially characters like that, you never see her having fun or doing anything fun. She's just constantly being mad. So I'm like, she can't really know what fun is. Plus, it was just fun to imagine Lily going, Finn, trying to say the word, but failing.
Finn.
And then just the fjord thing just came out of nowhere because I thought it'd be funny for Kyuki to say that.
Yeah. Well, I like it, though, because it ties back to it. Now that Natsumi is actually having fun, at the very least, she trusts Fuyuki enough that she probably thought that's what the word actually was. Poor Natsumi. Her life sucks.
It is one of those jokes that, unless someone watched the last episode, what a great fjord. And then on the other side of a river. Like, did they actually do that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I didn't think of that.
That's a good point. Wow, that joke works on too many levels now.
That's how it usually works with the shit we come up with. We think about it and go, wow, we're idiots, but we're geniuses.
It's the perfect joke. Fucking future generations of Abridgers will look at this joke and think, wow, one day I can be that fjord.
It'll be like Did You Know Gaming, where people overanalyze the shit out of it and act like it's something more than it is. They're going to do it with our series.
I'm looking forward to that day. No, stop fucking quoting Bark.
Yeah. That'll haunt you.
It will by this point. I'm still getting new comments for people watching episode 14 just saying Bark.
I'm just waiting for that one person that says my favorite joke from Sergeant Frog Abridged is Bark.
It already exists. Teddy. His favorite joke is Bark.
I'm sure that makes you a little bit angry. Like,
It does.
now you're going to put in more shots of Teddy falling down the hill.
Yeah, exactly. The video doesn't exist anymore, but I'll find it.
Make a YouTube poop of it.
If I ever do actually go back and remake episode 13, I will.
Have him falling behind the hill at the credits for 25. Just for a second. Have it fade in, slow motion falling, and then fade out behind the credits.
You brought this on yourself, Teddy.
Chunk Boys asks, speaking of Bark, are you planning on bringing back the Ninja Dog? I saw that Sergeant Frog has that as a recurring character. Probably not. The episodic series is ending with the next episode. And I don't know of any episodes or clips with the Ninja Frog that would be worth showing again.
And to answer that even further, Forthorn, even if he was in other episodes, just because of how vindictive he is towards that joke he made, I doubt it.
You know how I talk about episode 13.
Exactly.
It's that, but with a dog.
The first thing that popped into my mind is you have him come onto the fucking screen and start saying absolutely terrible, hateful, mean things.
Gay rights more like gay wrongs!
No. I just imagine he's about to say bark, and even before the word comes out, it cuts to a scene of him being swallowed by a snake.
Slowly.
Yes, very
Realistically.
slowly. Yes.
Okay.
I hate all of you. Moving on. The Moi doll. How did that happen?
It's kind of like any of the other jokes I have. I have to kind of campaign for them. I'm like, no, this will work, I swear. Because you guys are always kind of under, like, I can't think of lines for Moi to say. And the first one I just thought of because she, it was supposed to be like one-liners of a doll, was the first one that's Moi, Because I just find Code Black Coyote's voice for it just fantastic, and I just wanted to hear her say that. But I thought it would be kind of fitting with her character, at least. And then the whole slamming back and forth thing, like, the first thing I imagined was they're slamming back and forth in a beat. It's kind of like when you have those dolls with the voice box in them and you squeeze them and they'll say different phrases. It used to be, and I've had dolls like that if you squeeze them and you squeeze them before they finish whatever they're saying, they'll go to the next phrase. So I just had this joke that every time Tom was hitting the doll back and forth, it was switching phrases. So it started just becoming this mess that made no sense. Carrying his tires, that kind of thing. Where just kept repeat, and then I just kept on coming with new ones and just started saying things like sports.
A couple of those were longer, but we had to shorten them to fit the rhythm. Sports was originally listen to my parrot impression. Sports.
Yeah. It was a joke I was campaigning for, and I'm glad it got put in.
Yeah.
It's better than my original idea, which was to just have silence there, just with Thomas slamming the light doll back and forth and just hearing.
I still put that in. You just can't hear it very much.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
I just want to also give more lines to Code, just because it feels like Code never gets any lines in these episodes. So I'm like, here's a plethora. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But here's a plethora.
We had to do a lot of takes of them.
I want to hear that because I imagine it's either a lot of laughing or a lot of what.
It's mostly what?
It's backtracking a little bit. Can we talk about fucking Yoshi trying to do the wiggle line?
Oh, yeah. It took Yoshi ages because he could not hit the right note for the Buffalo Wings bit.
Yeah.
He kept going way too high. I was like, dude, just match the note I'm saying. Wings! No, match my note. Wing! No.
When I listened to that first, I was over at CJ, my date mate's house. I had flown up there to see this person I love very much. And we just spent like 10 minutes laughing over Yoshi fucking saying wings over and over again. And like, oh, good use of a plane ticket. Good use of $200. And also the wings. Fucking Yoshi gets payback for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Wings, motherfucker!
I feel at least there's this kind of running gag we always do where we want to try to get Yoshi to sing songs that he doesn't know.
That's a good point. He does know Wiggle, and that's part of why he was so angry at Jacob, because the song sucks.
The one I love the most is the Busy Clippers, because he didn't know anything about it at all. So he's just making it up as he goes, and it's fantastic.
Oh!
Too busy to say Rick!
Chunk Boy says, Yoshi's doing Kero. Does he even have to hit the right note? I've rarely heard Kero sing on key. Yeah, but Yoshi's a really good singer.
Yeah.
He has impeccable pitch, and yet he just could not hit the right note. And it was higher than he was doing. If he just lowered it would be fine, but no. Whatever, it was funny anyway. I have that clip of Yoshi trying to do it. That's going to be in the gag reel.
Absolutely.
That entire thing, because it's great. Where were we? Oh, a couple of things. Carrying his tires. Originally, Travis said tigers, but I didn't hear the G.
Carrying his tigers. And if I purposely, when I was doing the jokes, just to kind of emphasize what the joke was, I was changing pitch very suddenly. So I'm like, carrying his tires.
Yeah.
There's some really long ones that would have never worked considering, but like they were stupid. Like they were great, but like they would have never worked.
Yeah. Xylophone was spaghetti xylophone.
Well, it would have gone perfectly with this because I remember several times in the script writing process, I was like, this is a fucking stupid episode.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought as soon as I heard Kookadoo is Kookadoo, and I was like, I'm about to quit. I give up. I'm done. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
I almost wish you did, because then we could say it happened.
I was close. I really was like... I was even mad because I should have caught when you said Kookadoo, you Kookadoo. And that was another one where I was just like, motherfucker.
But then you got to hit your dick with a brick and it was okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see, was another one. They got the crawfish. She's a crawfish. That one was supposed to be check your calendar for crawfish.
It was.
But check your calendar was too long.
Check your calendar for crawfish.
Carrying his tires. Still cracks me up.
Well, it kept on cracking up at sports.
Yeah.
So much that every other character said it. And by
Yeah.
every other character, I mean Shura. Oops.
We just purposely brought it up.
I like the fact that Moa just said it trying to quote a poem. Like, what?
She still has the bit of a doll in her, and she always will for the rest of her life.
It's also that kind of almost small level of meta, just because it gives the idea that we played the idea that it's a doll, but that the fact that she probably just said it just because that's what she says in real life.
So she's the one doll that isn't bootleg. Code says it only took her 7 minutes to do that whole thing. Yes, for like a 10-second clip.
Yeah, to be fair. Did you get her to record the lines, those parts separately, or did you actually have her read it sequentially all at once?
Fucking rapid fire.
I had her do both.
Okay.
Just in case. And it ended up being a mishmash of all of her recordings.
Are there multiple takes of sports? Because I'd love to hear them.
There's a few. They mostly sound the same, though.
Okay.
Next, the AIDS story.
Oh, yeah.
Part of me doesn't want to give this one away too much, because it does tie into something that I'll eventually be uploading to the Straw Hat No.
Oh.
It's the tabletop game that Travis made, The God Project. It's something that happened during that.
Yeah, it's a reference to something that happened in it that will remain anonymous at this point. But it's one of those silly moments that happens when you're... Because, tabletop role-playing is basically an improv class. So this situation came very much over the cuff. It wasn't planned, which made it the more hilarious. And plus, we just wanted to think of something for... I always love when... in this series when characters say something that's enthusiastic but terrible. The first thing I thought of was like, guess what, Sarge? I no longer believe in God. I love that joke. So I kind of went in that kind of thought process where just characters of, I don't have AIDS. You're like, oh.
I guess you'd be happy about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a little further into the God Project. So whenever I'm able to put up the videos for that, might be a while before you hear that scene, but when you do, it'll be so worth it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, while I was editing, I realized Cool is slowly becoming one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Because we don't use him that much. He's just given up now.
Yeah, he's just doing whatever the fuck he feels like.
Everything he said for these last 2 episodes has been gold.
I know, I didn't realize Kulu didn't do a whole ton throughout the series, but yeah, now he's just being... I never thought of it that way. Yeah, he is becoming a pretty fucking funny guy. The
jokes that you said within it, too, I think, by the time I got into it, you guys already kind of written out this whole "and I watch" thing.
Yeah. Then you added, "Oh no, here comes a tsunami," which solidified it.
It's all about how it's said, too. "Oh no, here comes a tsunami."
And yeah, John said it flawlessly. That scene could not have been better.
But see, sometimes there's such a comedy to how things sound versus what's said. So especially for Kulu's voice actor, I just thought anyone else said it probably wouldn't have been as funny. but the fact that Kululu said it made it funny.
Well, while pretending to be Giro
Yes.
and sounding bored.
I remember when I initially thought of "And I Watch," I thought about it as like "And I Watch."
And he did do a take of that, but thought it was funnier just "And I watch."
Yeah, I agree.
And sometimes in series like that, I tried to avoid the obvious sex joke. And like it looked like a situation where they could have gone, oh, threesome, but I was just like, no, that's been done. It looks like they're floating in waves. Okay, they're being hit by a tsunami, sure.
And I do agree with that, but I think for Kululu with that particular scene, that's what he would be doing. He would just be having a laugh with these people. And he knows that they're in the dolls. It's them, but he's still doing it. Basically, that whole scene was just a perfect storm.
Yes, it was.
That caused a tsunami.
Yeah, exactly.
When watching the clips, it was probably hair in my mouth. It was probably the thing that got me the.
I thought you were going to say it creeped you out.
He gave me the.
No, that's probably the scene that got me the most, to be honest. Like when I first heard "And I Watch," it was just one of those silent laughs that goes on for like 15 seconds without a single noise or a single breath.
Chunk Boy is asking, will God Broccoli make it into the God Project? Sounds like the inside joke to make. Well, God Broccoli is an inside joke. By this point, more with myself. Because we mentioned it sometimes in Ask Girodoro, but not really any other places. And I forget it's a thing because I'm sick of it.
Yeah, the God Project itself is semi-serious. It's just we managed to make it ridiculous.
I tried to explain to people who never play roleplay, that is what roleplay is. Like, I'm supposed to just create the scenario, but whatever happens in the scenario is up to the players. So I can make it as serious as I want, but if they want to fuck around, I'm going to let them.
Yeah.
You know where the money is.
Yeah, I know where the money is. And Thorn particularly is the one that probably fucks around the most. Well, you and Yoshi fuck around the most by far.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He and I became the trolls. I didn't expect Yoshi to do it as much as he did, though.
I do appreciate your trolling because it's that combination of the charlatan where you're purposely just fucking with how people perceive and they can't keep up. And the first episode alone just turned into one of the characters trying to get all the other characters to go do something. All right, guys, let's head out. And I think just like Thorn's character just starts slowly doing the robot. And I emphasize it's so slow that it's making the character uncomfortable.
God damn it, I love that thing.
Have you told Thorn how Yoshi fucked a demon?
Yeah, he did that in our D&D game. It's pretty funny.
And on that subject, having watched Pro Jared's D&D video, I'm leaning a little more towards playing some D&D. It's just, after I was saying, oh yeah, I need to make another character.
The thing is, you can make your character exactly like your other game's character. Just you get to now pick a race and a class now. So, I mean, other than that, it could be exactly the same.
Dodge Platypus can live through dimensions.
Yep.
You would have a fucking blast. Like, some ridiculous shit has already happened. Like, my fucking religious cleric elf dude just blew up 3 bugs in a monstrosity, so...
I had this like boss fight all planned out, kind of like the boss. I won't tell much, but I had a boss fight planned out, and I'm like, oh no, the giant monster's coming towards you, and they basically like blind him, deafen him, tie him up, cover him in spines, then blow him up, and he doesn't do anything.
Wow. It was so great.
It was making me mad because I left everything to chance, and Yoshi kept on rolling 20s, so they could audibly hear me go.
Was anyone recording any of those?
I think Yoshi was.
Yeah. And I remembered, like, the very last turn, there was a demon in there that we were fighting too. After we beat him, the creature was already tied up, deaf and blind, covered in spikes, and I'd already set the thing that I set to blow up. So we just spent that last turn getting everybody out of the blast radius and into fucking scenic seats to watch this thing explode.
The boss. And Yoshi's character being all persuasive asks the demon, how do I kill you? And he rolled a 20. So I had to answer. For fuck's sake! It's the demon that he accidentally fucked.
I think we can tell you the entire story of how he slept with the demon later.
Yeah, because if Yoshi recorded that, I'm going to want to put that up on the Straw Hat Know as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll call that a teaser.
There you go.
The problem with those, though, is we actually use like a map for a visual, so it may be a bit harder.
I mean, I do a lot of job of describing though. Like it's only maps for encounters, and I spend most of the time describing what's happening.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out then. Next thing, throughout that old girlfriend, something a Fuyugi doll says, because anyone remember Elisa? I don't.
You know, for a while I was a staunch defender of episode 13, and I forgot about Elisa. But that has since changed because CJ and I both marathoned the series together, and we got to episode 13. I remember I liked it when it first came out, but listening to it now, like, I don't hate it, but it is pretty flat.
Yeah, we just didn't have any ideas for it.
That's just a random line I threw out just because, for one, I love referencing monorails. It's an old Simpsons reference, and it always cracks me up. But just having Fuyuki, again, it's all about the musicality. The way Fuyuki would say that, and also just throw at that old girlfriend, I'm investing in the monorail. Just, it sounds like some old 1920s thing.
I did get an Industrial Revolution vibe from it.
Yep. Throw at that old girlfriend, invest in the monorail, motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
Next, Cop.
Cop.
If it needs explaining.
Someone in the comment point, I was like, oh, great, a Straw Hat No reference. I'm like, don't complain about that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Sleeping Dogs, it's still our best Let's Play.
Absolutely.
Granted, so far everything Travis has done has been our best Let's Plays, which I don't resent at all.
To be fair, again, the way I figure that is that you play for knowledge, Yoshi plays for completion, I play for the bullshit. That's why I like in Sleeping Dogs I was purposely doing dumb shit sometimes, and also I just always run into glitches. It's just my luck.
Yeah, basically any Let's Play that I go into not knowing anything about the game, and then by the end it actually convinces me to buy the game, that is a good Let's Play. Because now I own Sleeping Dogs on PS4. I haven't played it much, but hell yeah, you actually convinced me to buy a game.
Hell yeah.
See, I'm helping the industry with our bullshit.
Well, I bought it used, so I mean,
I'm helping no one.
You're helping him. It's Jacob is the problem.
yeah.
Thanks, Jacob.
Yeah. Well, I bought Fallout 4 new, but
Plus, it's that classic situation we run into where you can tell the character should say something, but it shouldn't be that long. It's just maybe a quip. And there's nothing to reference because Caro just jumps in the scene. So that's the first thing that popped in my head.
So
Plus, he had a gun.
It was either cop or haha or something lame like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was better.
Or a bad pun or something like that.
Gun.
And you can already tell how I feel about those puns.
Yes. You could have just scrolled in and said, Choobies.
Shoot bees.
You would have had to explain that to me, and I would have just stared at the screen.
Near the beginning, I was really hoping we could find a place where Karo could call Kookadoo Shrinky Dink, because that just seems like something Karo would do, but we never found a place to put it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm, to this day, slightly disappointed.
And there was also something you said. You mentioned you get lazy in telling people happy birthday. So
Oh, yeah.
while we were writing, it was Shadow's birthday.
Yeah. I usually mangle the term happy birthday, insert name here, and tell it to them on Facebook or over Skype or something. So I'm like, Hargle Blorp Day Torn or something like that. But I just got completely lazy on Mariah's birthday, so I was like, Hoopy Boopy Shoopy.
And I wish we could have found a place to put it.
Oh, maybe we can in 25.
Oh, next, the final scene where Nui dies.
Yes.
Because we can't leave anyone living, except for some reason Yororo, he gets out fine.
He just gets wet.
That's another thing I love to do. I love the joke type of misdirection. I love it. It's a classic Mel Brooks thing where it's, I'm saying Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks did it, but it's misdirection. It's leading the logic to think something else is going to happen, and then just something completely breaks the logic. The whole scene is just her staring up as it's flying away, but I wanted to ruin the emotional moment by causing this death to happen, and I emphasized that a piano crash would occur when it happened.
Because like there's the sad piano song playing in the background. You can't quite hear the piano crashing. It is a piano crash sound effect, but it just sounds like an explosion. So I had to readjust it. Hopefully that comes through. It's made to sound like Todd was playing the piano when it exploded.
Wow.
Plus, you angle that correctly, and I love that you added that. Oh, that part. That part, I kept on watching and just clapping. Like I was just clapping at it. Because it's like that's a perfect way to end an episode.
And then we added onto it with Ocelot.
Yeah.
That was Jacob, because Jacob's like, don't we need to put Ocelot in here somewhere? We're like, oh yeah, right. And we've already decided that Ocelot's lines are just going to be something that Jacob said that we remembered.
This time it was from another. Actually, it was the same as the last Ocelot line. It was from an episode of my Sims playthrough, which I should probably make a new episode of.
They're fun.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't do them more.
Plus, we had the idea that the further the episodes go, the more Ocelot's getting closer to his old version.
Yeah. I was like, why not? I mean, Ocelot has so many different versions and he spans throughout the entire fucking series, so let's make him handsome for an episode.
And he kind of lobbied for it because you said you have a really good Troy Baker Ocelot impression.
Yeah, it sounds better when I'm so quiet that it doesn't really come over the mic, though. So, like, when I was doing it...
Okay, so it's a good impression when you can't hear it, is what you're saying.
It's a good impression when I don't do it.
Like, when I say it to I think out loud a lot. And whenever I do it, like, quietly to myself, it sounds really good. But if I had to get louder, like, so the mic could actually hear me, it wasn't as good, but I mean, nobody was like, no, that's garbage. So apparently it was good
Allow
enough.
me to ask you these questions because what you just said was incredibly confusing. So when you think about it to yourself, it sounds good.
I think out loud a lot. Like
when you think about it, aka speak it.
When I think out loud, I speak my thoughts, and sometimes I think of something Ocelot could say, and I say it, and then I'm like, wow, that's a decent impression.
But then you said, but then I say it. Like, now it's completely different.
I say everything twice. What about it?
But one of them's the thinking talk, and the other one's the talky talk.
You are overanalyzing this, okay?
Gave you, but you
Fuck this shit. Oh, damn it didn't mute. Fuck this shit.
Jacob, do you wonder why Yoshi hates me sometimes?
You hate me and Yoshi next week's episode of Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Don't even say that. I hated something in particular.
Well, you hated us from our reaction to it.
Yeah, this is true.
All right. Then moving on to the post-credits with Shura and Yukiki. Mentioning again Travis's desire for a musical episode. Ever since he's mentioned that, we put in songs everywhere we can. So it's basically a musical series by this point.
Well, there's always going to be a song where I'm involved. Like, if I'm in it, there's usually... I don't know why I always say songs. I just think songs can be funny. Whatever.
Which is the only reason that Shura starts singing Seven Nation Army while whacking his head against a desk.
Well, plus, I think you actually simulated the sound of the banging. So as soon as I heard it, I just started thinking, boom, 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 boom.
Oh, shit. I think that was something that I wanted to do while I was near the end of editing. Because at the start of it, it's Shura who's humming the bass line. But then later on, Grandpa Viper appears, and he starts humming it. One thing I thought I would do, but I forgot to, was change Shura doing it to being Grandpa Viper doing it off in the distance. But I forgot to.
It's what it is. It's still good.
Yeah. Though on the subject of Grandpa Viper being there, it was a random idea because Robobo in episode 22 combines people with machinery. And in episode 19, Grandpa Viper has become fused to the train he was on for God knows how long. So I thought, well, that doesn't happen naturally. So what if Robobo did that? Because of that, Shura would be annoyed that because of that, the bombing attempt on the train failed. So he accosts Robobo, tells him to get rid of the old guy. So Robobo, dumbass that he is, just puts him in the refrigerator. And that's why Grandpa Viper's there.
I was just under the impression that somehow Grandpa Viper turned into a train, and then that train that was Grandpa Viper got turned into a refrigerator. I'm like, that. Oh man, this is deep.
That Shura happened to buy.
As I mentioned, I campaign jokes. I feel like Grandpa Viper is Thorne's campaign for a character joke. I like him, damn it.
Can I be vice Grandpa Viper president? Because I want to campaign for it too, because I like him.
I think it was even better that you started through that. Can I be vice president?
Baka.
I couldn't think of a way. I'm sorry. What could be a term for vice campaigner for a character to be in a bridge series?
Vice refrigerator?
Then I'm just a fucking mini fridge.
I think the vice refrigerator is the freezer. This is a dumb discussion.
Yes, it is. It's a dumb episode.
Yeah.
Warrants I like this episode, though.
I love it, yeah.
Actually, I think I remember what I was going to say earlier, but I forgot. I had actually asked everyone that I recorded with for this, I asked them, is this our best or worst episode? Because I'm really not sure.
Did you get an answer, or were they like, we'll get back to you on that?
No, they all just said it's one of them.
I don't think it's the best, but it's definitely not a bad episode. I was worried that because of how stupid it was, like a few weeks later, I'd look back on it and not be proud of it. But no, I still love it.
It comes together.
Yeah.
And some people even saying that's some of their favorites. So, I mean.
Yeah, a lot of people really like this episode. And I'm happy about that because I was much more involved in this episode than SFA 23. So I'm just glad I didn't ruin everything.
Yeah.
What I like about it in kind of a writing aspect is that it could be one you could watch alone. Still, like if you've never seen Sergeant Frog and you watch that episode, you'd still get got a lot of the jokes. And if you watched it as part of a series, it's still canonically attached.
Yeah.
It all managed to fit an arc from beginning to end. It didn't really feel like it got stuck on anything. Like the only problem I had with the last episode is I felt like some of the parts kind of dragged. Like this one felt like it was kind of on pace the whole time, and it ended its story, and that's all I could really ask for.
It was fun to edit too.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad I'm getting back into enjoying editing. Even though it takes me a little while to get the mojo up and running.
I also think because the end goals inside too is helping you too.
Yeah. Ending on a better note than I did back in season 2.
I always like that idea that we went for such a finality to the whole series in 2 that we had to Deus Ex Machina the whole thing to make it work again.
Yeah.
I have a feeling people were like, oh yeah, this will be our last season. People were like, yeah, sure.
I feel better about ending it this time now, because in the last case it was I want to be done with it. In this case, it's I want to finish it.
It makes the most sense to end it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, rewatching 18, at least when you were in that mindset, it didn't end up making a lackluster episode because both parts of episode 18 were excellent.
Yeah, some people complain that we get emotions and feelings attached to a story, but for me, like a lot of comedy comes from when you care about the characters.
Yeah.
If you're just gonna sit there and make jokes that have no basis, and I know a lot of people can assume my jokes have no basis, but usually they do, even if it's in my head. That, especially when you can kind of care about a character, it always makes it way more interesting. That's why people like characters like Doro and things like that, because Doro is kind of a moral fuzzy bear. Like he's not just there for the yucks. Like he has his jokes, but he's also a person. I think especially in any comedy, that's heavily needed. That's why I like The Simpsons way more than I like Family Guy. Family Guy is just yucks. Simpsons has a heart.
Yeah.
And I think it's important.
And to put it even simpler than that, if you don't give a shit, you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, if you guys are crying about scenes from Sergeant Frog Abridged, then I'm sorry.
Yeah, really.
I just can't imagine that. Like it doesn't work in my head that way.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that sad.
It's like when anyone says this seems a lot more serious. Rewatch episode 18.
Yeah.
Plus, if you were to, if you decide to do the percentile marks of, okay, how many jokes and serious moments happened in the actual episode we did? About 98% of the episode was just batshit insane.
Yeah.
Goofy. So like, oh no, this 2% is emotional.
I mean, I guess it's still more serious than the average Abridged series, but then again, Sergeant Frog is not the average Abridged series.
I think it's even less serious than Sergeant Frog.
Oh yeah, Sergeant Frog still had its moments.
But that's everything on the schedule. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. Firebrine asks, any future plans for Tamers? Not at the moment. Right now I'm focused on ending SFA. And then after, we'll see if we want to do anything else.
I rewatched Tamers the other day, and it still holds up really well. And again, kind of following in the jokes I've mentioned, is that I like the fact that it seems more dramatic than it should be. And also it plays on the idea of the old, maybe late 90s, early 2000 cartoon TV show on Saturday morning. Like it has that kind of meta joke on top of the joke, and I like that. It's not that they're aware they're in a TV show, but we are aware that it's a bad TV show.
Yeah.
Plus, you get to make bad commercials like, hey, this is Sonic, just saying, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Zeter Steel asks, what was with the crying old guy transition? We forgot to mention Sad Manga Man.
Sad Manga Man. So there is this huge scene that we cut out. I have no idea what the fuck happens in it, but it involves like soda and manga, and eventually there's this old guy with a book for a face crying, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And I just had the idea, let's just make that a hard transition between two scenes. Yeah.
I like how you reversed it and flipped it upside down for the second one just to make it kind of creepy.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
I think it's because the Sad Manga Man transition was meant for that second time, but I had put it earlier. It's also because I had done that with Mujo in a previous episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially when you do the yelling, sometimes I do mix up Giro and Mujo. So I thought it was Giro at first when he did it.
I remember that.
A lot of people did, I think.
They showed a picture of Mujo.
Even though Mujo, I think, is more fun to write for than Giro. But that's just me.
Oh, he is. He's more fun to write than most people.
I mean, considering the last episode, he escaped laughing, jumping down a cliff, and he had no exit strategy, so he just hit the ground.
God damn it, I want to do more Jetters.
What helped with that? I just love the ow! Why did I do that?
Mama will be mine.
You want to do more Jetters, Travis?
Not tonight because I have some stuff to do, but I wouldn't mind doing it soon. Yes. I think I told the story where, like, when I worked at Best Buy, I had a name tag that said my name on it, Travis, and my position was PCHO specialist, which was like personal computer home office, something like that, specialist. And like any name tag, my name on top was way bigger in font than PCHO specialist below it. So this woman approaches me and says, "Hello," and looks down at my name tag to get my name and goes, "Pacho."
I thought they I thought they would assume that like your full name was Travis Picho or something.
No, the worst part of it, like, well, the thing is, like, that was like when I first started working there, and when I introduced myself to the like everyone at my work, I was like, "Hello, my name's Travis, aka Pacho." So my Pacho became my nickname, and then, not even joking, some woman again asked for my help. A different woman looked at my name tag and went, "Oh, Pacho, what is that, Italian?"
Yes, it is.
I was like, "Pacho."
Chunk Boy, better than PC Ho. Chunk Boy says, have you ever tried Critters.org Bonsai Story Generator? It's like a phrase randomizer, put in some Peter Chimera and bad MLP fanfics, and you get some truly effed up results.
That sounds really funny.
I mean, we have done the ones where it's like the fill in the blank ones before.
Yeah, Mad Libs. I love those.
Yep. I would do one again, but I feel like Spider Janitor can't be topped.
Yeah. Firebrand asks, what character would you say is the most fun to write for?
In what? In anything?
I don't know about Sergeant Frog. In Jetters, Mujo, obviously. It used to be Birdie. Mujo just kind of usurped him.
Well, the problem is with Birdie is we pretty much wrote everything we'll ever write about him ever in one night.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mujo's tons of fun to write for. Sergeant Frog?
I don't think I've been writing for long enough to have a distinct idea. I may have an answer, but it might spoil the next episode.
I have fun with Fuyuki.
Fuyuki's fun because we can make him say really anything.
Probably Fuyuki and Kululu are probably my two.
Kululu as of late.
Yeah.
It's really funny because we don't care about him, so we can make him say anything too.
Plus, I love the characters are just not accepting his weirdness anymore. To the point out, it's like, if you just didn't say that, it would have been fine.
Chunk Boy asks, which episode was the most creatively challenging for you guys? That was 13, because we just had no ideas.
I wasn't involved in that process, so...
Yeah, well, what about you, then?
To fair, and I've explained this to you before, I find, like, I don't necessarily say the episodes are giving me that problem. I just think SFA, compared to the other ones we did, is harder for me to write. Compared to Jetters and compared to Tamers and the ones I've helped with before. Just because, like, when I started helping you with writing, I didn't establish any of these characters' parameters or anything like that, so... like, my knowledge of how the characters would react in said stimuli was limited. But because I helped in the creation of characters for Jetters and things like that, I think it was easier to do.
Right.
If I had to pick an episode, I think 23 was tough for me, especially with that kind of plot that it had. It was hard for me to try to find, like, the pacing and the humor because it seemed like it was stuck on that whole let's build a drill to volcano thing for, like, the next 15, 20 minutes.
So far for me, it's actually 25 because it's more action heavy.
Well, with action, you have to be writing action, not jokes. And this is a comedy.
Yeah.
Action, you can spend a lot of time thinking about the kinetic humor of it. Like the whole, like, ninja fuck you start destroying a building, for example. And,
Yeah.
You just got to think of ways to take what is occurring and just turn it upside down.
I think this is a pretty good place to call it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time to go back to Brooklyn.
I gotta go.
Have you watched that yet, Jacob?
No, I haven't, but I do need to. because like I said before, I haven't watched any other Hot Full Boyfriend playthroughs, so this is probably going to be the best. I'm probably the best to watch it.
It's like 30 minutes. I think you have enough time.
Yeah, I do.
Do it right afterwards.
Well, afterwards, I have to go stream Fallout 4 at hitbox.tv/jigglyjacob.
You know, since you're doing a stream, I think you stream it Hot Full Boyfriend episode. No.
Good, Travis. I thought you were serious.
I'm whoring myself.
We're leaving.
Bye. Have a good day, guys. See you at episode 2070.